Om Apyayantu Mamangani Vak Pranas Chakshu Shrotram Atho Balamindriyani Cha Sarvani Sarvam Brahma Upanishadam Maham Brahma Nirakuryam Mama Brahma Nirakarot Anirakaranamastu Anirakaranam me astu Tadatmani nirate Upanishatsu dharma बढ़ाओगे थोड़ा ते मयि संतु ओम शांति शांति शांति. Today we are going to start the study of Kenopaniṣat, which Shankar's commentary, of course. And the Kenopaniṣad is supposed to be from the Talavakara Brahmanam of the Samaveda. That Brahman is also called Gemini Brahman of the Samaveda. So we have to think, what are the Vedas? What is Samaveda? What are the Brahmanas? What is the meaning of Talavakara Brahman? And how it is same is called Gemini Brahman. So unless we think of these things, how can we start this study? Now the first consideration is Vedas. Now Vedas are not particular books. Vedas means the knowledge of the subtler field, that which is not available to five senses of ordinary persons. That is called subtler knowledge. But it is a definite knowledge. It is known to what is called rishis, who can directly experience that knowledge which is not available to the ordinary man with his five senses. And because it is knowledge, truth, so it is eternal. Knowledge always exists. Whether you know it or not, it always exists. And that is why Vedas are called eternal. Now, as the rishis discover, they become known to us. And so, it was a growing knowledge. It was growing and growing. Now, a great person arose. We know him as Veda Vyasa or Krishna Dvaipayana Vyasa, and Vyasa is called because he knows the knowledge from this end to that end. He thought this ever-growing knowledge must be preserved for the future generations. And there was no computer, no printing, no writing even. So the knowledge had to be retained by memory. So he selected 4 of his disciples. Paila, Vaishampayana, Gemini, Sumantu. And that knowledge discovered up till that point, which was told by the different sages in what we call prose, that he called Rig Veda, and assigned that knowledge to Paila to not only memorize it, but to keep it for the future generations with the help of his own disciples. Similarly, the portion, I reverted the thing in the beginning itself. The poetry portion is called Rigveda. The poetry portion is called Rigveda. Most of the knowledge, when it comes to the Rishi, it comes in the form of poetry because it is an inspired knowledge. And so, the poetry form is called Rigveda, please. And that poetry form, Rigveda, he assigned to Paila. Now, lot of knowledge is there, which is described in the prose form, so that he called as Yajur Veda, and he gave it to Vaishampayana to preserve it with the help of his disciples. Then, from the knowledge which is poetry, there are certain poems which can be sung. So he extracted that portion which could be sung and gave it to Jaimini. And asked Jaimini to preserve it with the help of his own disciples. Then, later on, some new knowledge was discovered after this division in three. So, that was called Atharva Veda, and that was given to Sumantu. And from that Atharva Veda, three Upanishads who have studied so far, the Mundaka, the Prashna and the Mandukya, were all from Atharva Veda. Today we are turning our attention to Samaveda. Sama means singing. So singing Veda, that is why the name is Sama. Rik means verses, poetical, so that is Rigveda. And the remaining is called Yajurveda. Now, so Vedas are the subtler knowledge. Now the Vedas are all four, subdivided into three portions. Because the Brahmanas, what we have to know, what are the Brahmanas. So Vedas are divided into Samhita, Brahmana and Aranyaka. Upanishad is not one of the divisions. Samhita, Brahman and Aranyaka. What is Samhita? The first type of subtle knowledge is the knowledge of Devatas, conscious beings, cosmic, particularized conscious beings, like Agni God, like Indra God, like this God and that God. So that was given, that is called the Samhita portion. The collection of the hymns or praises about these devatas is called the Samhita portion. Now, man has a basic selfishness. Because man defines himself, a pure man decides himself as a consciousness associated with a particular mind-body complex. So, when it is associated with a particular mind-body complex, essentially, ego, selfishness, narrowness, enjoyment enters every man. And as he becomes aware of himself as consciousness, he becomes, due to purity of his heart comparatively, he becomes aware of the devatas. And because they are cosmic, definitely they have much more power than this individual man. And because of that basic selfishness, he goes on asking the devatas, please give me this or please give me that. So, the rishis found out, because if you want something, you have to give something. Without that you cannot get something. And so, the rishis found out as a subtler knowledge which yajna, which sacrifice, which action, which worship in the name of a particular god will give you what type of heavenly enjoyment. So this is called Viniyoga, use of the mantras into rituals which will give you the desired result. This is called Brahmana. The Brahmana portion of all the Vedas, also called the Viniyoga portion, is that which tells us this mantra should be used in this yajna at this time. That is called the Brahmana portion. Now there is a third portion of the Vedas. Man, as he grows, becomes tired, dislikes this gross bhogas of the world. So he retires into forest and mentally starts worshipping the gods or whatever doing mentally. And there what knowledge he gets is called Aranyaka. So these are the three subtle knowledge there also, mentally. And so these three are the principal divisions of all Vedas. Now, Brahmana. Then, how the names are given? Talavakara Brahman. And how the same is called Gemini Brahman. So we found that Gemini was the person who was given Samaveda, and the Gemini had many disciples, of which the name of a disciple is Talavakara. That may sound odd to us, but they were the names in the ancient times. So, the Gemini taught Talavakara certain portions of the Samaveda to memorize and keep all right. And that is why it has two names. That Brahmana portion, which Gemini taught to Talavakara, because it was taught to Talavakara, and Talavakara memorized and retained it, so it is called Talavakara Brahman. But Gemini gave it to Talavakara, and so it is also known as Gemini Brahman. So Gemini Brahman, because Gemini gave him, Talavakara Brahman, because it was given to a disciple called Talavakara. Now, what remains? We are studying Kena Upanishad. So what are these Upanishads? Now, whether it is in Sangita portion or Brahmana or Aranyaka, while praising these gods or while describing some vinyoga. If the mind is not selfish, if the mind is much less selfish, if the mind is much more pure, then this praising the gods, this act of devotion, has its own power to raise the mind, to raise the level of our consciousness. And when the level of our consciousness is raised, what we get? We get the subtlest knowledge of the subtler knowledge. We get the ultimate knowledge which a man can ever get. Nothing can be higher than that, because the knowledge reaches the knowledge of one reality appearing as many, one without a second reality, the transcendent immanent reality, the sarvatita sarvavyapi, sarvatita sarvagata, ekameva advitiya, satchit ananda, ananta, akhanda. When the mind or consciousness is raised to that level, there cannot be anything higher than that, because the researcher, his mind itself is lost. His mind and the Devata which he was discovering, of the Devata which he was thinking, they have not remained separate. Then only it is the ultimate knowledge. Now, can we imagine anything higher than that? When the discoverer himself is lost, who will discover? So, ultimate knowledge is declared to be that above which there can be no knowledge. This knowledge of one without a second, this knowledge is called Upanishad. Now, this is in Samgita portion. But what happens in Brahman portion? Same thing. While describing the vinyoga of some mantras, the mind shoots up and the mind goes to that reality, one without a second. So in the Brahmana portion also we get Upanishads. And in Aranyaka, definitely, because they start with the subtler things and go on deep and deep and deep, so they get the knowledge of the ultimate reality, one without a second, where the discoverer is no more separate. So in Aranyaka portion also we have the Upanishad. Now what is the meaning of the word Upanishad? It means knowledge, not a book. Upanishad means knowledge. Sat is not Sat of Satchidananda. Sat is the root of a verb. And what is the meaning of this word Sat as a root of the verb? To destroy, to obtain, and to finish a thing by loosening it. They are the principal three meanings of the root Sat. And this Sat is prefixed with Upa and Ni. Upa means near. When this knowledge is approached from near. Now, Guru we can approach by going physically near. But how knowledge we can go near? By absorbing it, by experiencing it, by loving it, by being devoted to it. So the heart comes into play, the experience capacity of a man comes into play. That is called upa or near. But also, it requires ni, means nishchaya and nishtha. We have to proceed with a firm resolution that I will not give it up. This is the ultimate knowledge. I will pursue it till I get it. That is called nishchaya. And this nishchaya again has to be maintained till I get that knowledge. So this maintaining of the nishchaya is called nishtha or steadfastness. So, when this sat is associated with upa and ni, we destroy our wrong knowledge. We get that reality which is our own real nature, which is all-pervading, one without a second. And all our imperfections, desires, bondages, attachments are due to our wrong knowledge. And so they come to an end by becoming loosened. So if it is loosened, it is no more a bondage. In that way, Upanishad is the name of the knowledge which, when approached by a person fit enough, by a person who is ready to take the ultimate step, who is ready to lose himself to get the ultimate reality, who does not have this selfish tendency of enjoyment. When such a person approaches his teacher, now this knowledge, how can it come without a teacher? It is our birthright. But because it is covered in our case by ignorance, ajnana, avidya, wrong knowledge. So now we have to understand what is this ajnana, what is this avidya, what is this wrong knowledge. Now when we get the ultimate knowledge, we find that that was our real nature. It was always there. That was our very real nature. Then, but it was covered with wrong knowledge. And what is that wrong knowledge? I and you, I and the world are different, related as a subject and an object. This is called wrong knowledge. And it is a fact that all of us have that in the beginning. So our fundamental nature is the consciousness that we are one without a second reality, but our second nature, our relatively our nature, the nature of our mind is to feel this reality as if is broken into the subject and the objects. Apparently, because, how do you say so? Because that is the fact of life. When we shall discover the full knowledge, we shall understand that has been our real nature always, eternally. That is why we got it. And we shall simultaneously discover that our present state or the past state was not that knowledge. We were under the impression that I am a subject find myself present in the world, manifold world of varieties of objects. So this fact tells us, now we have to find out how this fact is unreal knowledge, how this fact is not real knowledge. So we can apply 3 different tests. What is this I in our present knowledge? Body, or I the vital forces, or I the mind, or I the I consciousness associated with body and mind. Now take any one of them. Take this body as I. A little calmness of the mind will tell us that this body is effervescent, temporary, kshanabhangur, evanescent. It does not hold itself the next moment. It is changed the next moment. To understand, we are constructing a building, and one pillar has been filled with cement concrete. And we are about to start the next pillar. Is this pillar steady? That moment the decomposition of the composition has started, that very moment. The moment composition is completed, decomposition has started. We may not see it. We may see after hundreds of years. When it becomes a crack, then only we see it. But any thought will tell us that this body, a Mausapinda, flesh, came out of mother's womb and started changing. Even in mother's womb it was changing and changing and changing. And after coming out it started changing. Then how to call it something? That which was yesterday or that which is today? That which was last moment or that which is now? Only because we give it a name, it appears real. That Mausapinda comes out in America, even before the child is born, the parents have to register his name. Whether boy will be born or girl, they do not know. So they have to register 2 names. If it is a boy, this is the name it is. Now, in India, it is done after 10 or 12 days. But the moment this name comes, he or she and all of us start calling him, this is Jack, this is Jill, this is Hari, this is Rama. That only holds it as a unit. This is of course unreal, because he is not a unit. He has been changing and changing and changing. Same thing with our organs, vitality of the organs. Same thing with our mind. A small child's mind and a grown-up man's mind, heaven and hell difference. Earth and heaven difference at least. So which is called that? Only because a name is given. And this I consciousness also, a small child's I consciousness and a grown-up man's I consciousness, a young man's I consciousness and old man's I consciousness, they are totally different. So this is the one point. It does not require Vedanta. Only a little calm observation, unattached judgment, tells us that this I consciousness is not real. It is not there at all. It is an ever-changing something. First point. One more point. Just now we thought that this I consciousness is shifting. Sometimes I am the body. Sometimes my body. I live in this body, so I am not the body. What I am? I am the vital forces working in this body. But a little calm observation tells us, no. I am in that vital forces. I am the mind which is using these vital forces, staying in the body to act with the outside world. Shifting. Especially the artist, performing artist, painters, geniuses of their own subjects. They live in their mind. Shifting body. When they become hungry, they are the body. When they feel, seeing, acting, this or that, they are the vital forces. And thinking, even about themselves, even about what is our real nature, they are the mind. And very pure persons only see that they are the I consciousness. And perfected man does not see that even. Perfected man sees there is only one reality, one consciousness appears as my I consciousness, your I consciousness, he, she, its I consciousness. So this I consciousness is shifting. It cannot be real. It is clearly unreal, does not require any Vedanta, requires a little calm mind and calm introspection. There is a third thing. As we described just now, that some people, rare people, they realize their consciousness becomes once for all, does not change. That there is only one all-pervading, transcendent, infinite, unbroken consciousness, existence, bliss, which appears as this I and you and the entire world. Now, that is real. Ours is unreal. Why? That never changes. Our consciousness, we have seen, goes on changing every moment. Their consciousness never changes. So that is true. A real thing will not change. Another consideration is that, see the effect in their life. Blessed are they. They have no imperfection. They have no sorrow. They have no desires. They have no wants. They have got everything of the world. Their existence is a blessing to the whole society. So that also proves that their knowledge is a correct knowledge. In comparison with that, this is through Vedanta. That in Vedanta we study the life, the characters, the consciousness, the effect of the perfected beings, the knowledge of the perfected beings. And then we see that in comparison our knowledge is wrong. Even when we hear about them, even when we see them, even when we live with them, their everything is different from us. Everything. Because thinking, feeling, will are the external expressions of the knowledge consciousness within. And so, as in English it is put, transformation of consciousness leads to transfiguration of the personality. So from this also we understand our knowledge is false. Now, what does that Upanishad told us? If we get their knowledge, if our consciousness of today, which is wrong, which is faulty, is changed into their consciousness, then we will be ever free, ever blissful, ever perfect. Such a thing is Upanishad. And this always is through a conversation, a rubbing, you may say, with our faulty knowledge with the right knowledge of the Guru. And because it is right knowledge, it will remove our wrong knowledge. And when our wrong knowledge is removed, our own real nature knowledge will come out. So that is the whole story of Upanishad. Now, because it is contained in some books, that books also, if studied with only that purpose, then the books also can be called Upanishads. Otherwise, if the books are used for syntax, grammar, PhDs, DSCs, it is no more Upanishad. Now, next point. Why the Upanishads are many when the knowledge is one? Why there are these names? Isha Kena Kata Prashna Mundamandukya Taitiri. So, we found that it comes through conversation. Now, my wrong knowledge, my today's consciousness depends upon the constitution of my mind. And so I can receive knowledge only when my teacher gives me in a particular way. And that has created these different Upanishads. Different disciples, knowledge same. Taught to him in a way in which he can absorb, makes it different. And the old rishis never wanted to claim any knowledge because knowledge is everybody's property. Knowledge is eternal. Knowledge is not mine or yours. Knowledge is not Hindu or Muslim. Knowledge is not India or Russia. So, somehow to remember the different, somehow the names are given. Because you have to remember that this knowledge is of a different style. So what is the name? Kena Upanishad. Now about this there are two views. The gross routine view is that the Upanishad starts with the word Kena. Another Upanishad starts with the word Isha, or the full word is Ishavasam. So it is called Isha Upanishad or Ishavasya Upanishad. I am not saying that is wrong, but that is a gross understanding. This name should signify the way it is given. Then only the naming is meaningful. In the three Upanishads which we studied, Mundaka Upanishad was given to fit persons who shaved them themselves, become sannyasis, and then they received that Upanishad. So it is called Muktikā Upanishad. Prashna Upanishad, 6 disciples went to a guru, asked 6 questions of different grades, and they received knowledge. So it is called Prashna Upanishad. Mandukya, because the power of knowledge, when it rises like a frog's hopping. And so, Mandukya is a frog. Mandukya is frog-like motion of the knowledge. So it was Mandukya Upanishad. So, the name signifies the way in which the knowledge is given. Now, what is the main theme in this Upanishad? We'll get it as we proceed, but the name is very suggestive. Kena, by whom? By whom Upanishad? That means, I feel I am doing this. When I calmly analyze, I find I am not doing this. I don't know who is doing this. I am not telling my mind to go here and there. I am not telling that I should speak. And I am seeking that which causes me to speak, that which causes me to put my hand, put my legs, put my speech, and I shall find that it is the one without a second reality. So the process is trying to find out by whom. So this name of the Upanishad is by whom Upanishad. Knowledge of by whom. So, even in the Isha Upanishad, we'll tell it when we come to that. So, today we have discussed Vedas, Samhita, Brahman, Aranyakas. We have discussed Talavakara and Jaimini Brahman. We have discussed Upanishad. We have discussed Kena Upanishad. Now another point comes in about this Upanishad only. Because we are studying, we have to study this Kenopaniṣat with the help of Shankaracharya's commentary, without which we cannot understand the depth. And as we come to this Upanishad, we find Shankaracharya has written 2 independent commentaries of the same Upanishad, which is very rare. Very rare means, now these 2 commentaries are known as Padabhashya and Vakya Bhashya. Commentary on every word and commentary on the sentences. Now on all the Upanishads, including Gaudapada's Mandukya Karika, Shankar has written, he has given the meaning of the words, implication of those words. And of course, when they form a sentence, then again sometimes you have to revise the meaning to get the connection. But basically, it is the meaning of the word. But in Brahma Sutra Bhashya, it is Sutra, so words are very little. And Shankar wants to establish, teach us that all the Upanishads, all the Vedanta is teaching us a particular system of philosophy. A system of philosophy means, what is our real nature? What are the means to get it? What does this mean in the Upanishad? What does that mean in the Upanishad? So, a system and such a thing, he has found Kena Upanishad to be suitable to fix a system. He has not found other Upanishads like that. Sometimes in the Brihadaranyaka he has dealt like that. But the equivalent we get only in the Brahma Sutras. And that is why we get two commentaries. Now, what should we study and why? Our aim of life is not to understand the whole world. Our aim of life is not to study any system. Our aim of life is to realize the reality. And so, we study only the Padavashya. We do not study the Vakyavashya. Those who are interested in the Marathi, Vishnu Aman Bapat Shastri, a great scholar, has explained only the Vakyavashya. Because he is a scholar. He wants to deal with that system of thought. We are not. And so, Gambhiranji's English translation deals only with Padavashya. And the text we are going, that does not contain the words of the Shankar's commentary. The book which we are using is this Gita Press book, and it gives both the commentaries. So we shall go on ignoring the Vakyavashya and read only the Padavashya. So now I think all the preliminaries necessary to understand and assimilate the Kena Upanishad have been described, have been heard, have been understood, have been felt. And so, we can enter what we get at first. It is called Mangalacharan by some, Prarthana by some, Shantipat by some. But it also is giving direction to our mind to get that knowledge. It is also talking of how the mind gets ready. And so, we are interested in every word of that so-called Mangalacharan. Om refers to Saguna Nirguna Brahma. Om refers to the reality, one without a second, which appears as the whole world. Keeping our mind somehow anchored in that, only we proceed. Apyayantu means nourish, make strong, develop. What? Mama Angani, my parts, my faculties. So it at once tells us it requires a developed personality to get the knowledge of the Kenopaniṣat. And every part and every limb should be developed equally. So, Apyayantu Mama Angani, what? My faculty of speech. Prana. Means my breathing, my fundamental life consciousness, that also should develop. Or my nose should develop to properly smell things. Chakshu, I should develop, have a proper sight. Ears should develop, Shrotram. Atho means and also balam. Overall strength of my personality should develop. Weak person cannot get it. Indriyani cha sarvani. And all the organs have not been named. So, all the other organs also should have development. Now, what is the direction of that development? What does a developed personality do? What does a developed personality feel? Why a developed personality is necessary? Undeveloped personality cannot feel anything. The right development of personality, next sentence, you have to gradually read. Sarvam Brahma. Sarvam Brahma. I feel roughly, hazily, but strongly. If my personality is really developed, that is the first sign of development of personality. Other developments are not developments. When we paint some asuras, rakshasas, we paint two horns. That is not the development. So this Mangalacharan is teaching us so many things. That a developed personality is necessary, but the right development is that which ends into the feeling, not realization, feeling. What is that feeling? All this is Brahman. All this is Brahman. What is the meaning of the word Brahman? That which is greatest in all respects is called Brahman. To be greatest in all respects, it has to be all-pervading, all-knowing, all-powerful, and beyond. So I feel something, some reality, some existence, consciousness, bliss, some name Brahman, something all-pervading, not individual separate, not I and you separate, some all-pervading, transcendent reality is existing. That feeling has come because my personality has been developed. But I have not realized it. So people may ask me, how do you say all is Brahman when you have not realized it? I try to find support. And I find these Upanishads are all talking of Brahman. All the Upanishads are talking of Brahman. And as we have just now found that Rishi's consciousness is true consciousness, my today's consciousness is not true. So I get my support in the Upanishads. So this sentence has two parts. Sarvam Brahma is my feeling, and the support I am getting is Upanishadam, as told in the Upanishads. Brahman, not some peculiar idea, but as told in the Upanishads. That Brahman is everywhere, everything. So the development has led me to feel that. Then I find, if it is the reality, why it is not expressed in my life? Why is it not manifested in my consciousness? And a little introspection tells me, it is this I consciousness which is blocking it. I consciousness is blocking the expression of the all-pervading Brahman. So the sadhak tells himself, let me not reject that Brahman. Let me allow that Brahman to express. Let me not hinder that Brahma consciousness. But then, when I think like that, feel like that, another view is opened. That Brahman is all-powerful. Whether I allow or not, why should not Brahman come out, breaking me? Ma Brahma nirakarot. Mam Brahma nirakarot. Let the Brahman not deny me. Let the Brahman not reject me, that this is not a fit person to express. Whether I am good or bad, why should Brahman not come out? So I am praying to that Brahman. Please do not ignore me. Please do not throw me out. Please express in me. And as the mind goes deeper and deeper, alternately these feelings are coming. I am obstructing. Let there be no obstruction. Brahman is obstructed. Why it should not come? So this twice means a continuous succession of this type of feeling. Anirakaranam astu, anirakaranam me astu, in me. Then one feels that isn't it this is becoming an emotional thought? I am obstructing, you are obstructing. Is it not an emotional thought? There has to be a base. There has to be a base of personality. And what type of base? Some virtues must be cultivated. That I understand at that point. What we call these days values. But another point comes there. What are the values? Who will decide? Everybody decides his own values. That is not going to be helpful. So, those who have succeeded should tell me what are the values, and those values I should cultivate. I should keep one thing intact. Tad atmani nirate. Me. Tad me. Which is engaged in finding my own real nature. That I am not giving up. I am concentrated, I am engaged in finding my own real nature. But in me, ye Upanishatsu dharma, the values taught in the Upanishads, Upanishatsu, plural, not only Kena. Wherever the rishis have succeeded, they have told the values. And those values in me, te mai santu. Let them be cultivated in me. Te mai santu. This repetition is to show sincerity, also to end this prayer. So that is how we approach the Mangala Charan. Then the actual Shanti part remains, that we shall see on the next Wednesday. ओम आप्यायन्तु ममांगानि वाक्प्राणश्चक्षुश्रोत्रम् अथो बलमिन्द्रियाणि च सर्वाणि सर्वं ब्रह्म उपनिषदम् माहं ब्रह्म निराकुर्याम् मा ब्रह्म निराकरोत् अनिराकरणमस्तु अनिराकरणं मे अस्तु तदात्मनि निरते ये उपनिषत्सु धर्मा ते मयि सन्तु ओम शांति शांति शांति। हरि ओम तत्सत। श्री रामकृष्णार्पणमस्तु।